Hi everyone. So in the last video, as I mentioned, that you can work on the first part of the project, that is how an S3 event, once a file is placed, would trigger a lambda, and then that lambda would trigger the step functions workflow, right? So hope you tried that. If not, I'll quickly do that in front of you. So we have this, to continue from where we left. So we had worked till the step functions part of it, where we try to trigger the step functions from a local file. Okay, and that worked successfully. It triggered step functions, which in turn triggered the two lambdas, and the output came as a success. Now I have just created this prompt where I am telling that we will work on the first part of the project, where a lambda gets triggered on a S3 put event, and this lambda then invokes the step functions state machine we created with the right event object. Okay, so let me put this here. I'll also put the files which would require some change. Okay, um, okay, okay, more or less these are the files which requires. There would be change in the IAM because we need a new execution role for the lambda. We need a new lambda resource for the new lambda under the lambda.tf. In main.tf we need changes on the lambda module section, because a new lambda is coming in. And on the S3 front, the the uh, you know the permissions related to S3 on that uh, lambda. We'll see if at all there are any changes required on the s3.tf. Right now I suppose we need permissions on the lambda dot on the IAM side of it to basically invoke these step functions. That is one thing. And obviously the logs creation, that would be there. Right, so these would be the two major permissions which we would require on the IAM front. S3 front, we'll see what the core pilot has to do. Okay, so let's quickly see what we get here. So it has started to put the changes. So there is a new role resource it has created, the data IAM policy document section, which has you know the which where it is allowing for invoking of the states from the lambda. Okay, that we already talked about. And the role policy resource, where you attach the role to the policy, which is fine. This one looks fine. Okay, outputs.tf, it is the obviously the role ARN and the role name, so we are fine here. Variables.tf, this is lambda variables, invoke file name, invoke function name, invoke role ARN, and invoke timeout. Okay, so we'll keep all the three. Default I'll make it 300 because that's what we have used in other places. Okay, and lambda.tf, we have all the mandatory properties. Okay, we keep this change. Lambda output, we have the lambda ARN and the lambda name. Great. Infra variables, on the S3 front, invoke sfn lambda ARN. Okay, so we have this here. And s3.tf, we have a resource coming in known as s3 bucket notification. Okay, configure s3 to notify it on. So I'll keep all the changes and we'll move to each file quickly. AWS Lambda permission is another resource, okay, where you are what happened here, no idea. Okay, so we'll keep all the changes. Okay, so we have infra variables very similar to the other lambdas it would have done. Okay, I think we need only the invoke zip path. These variables generally we don't need to be given from the user, so I'll remove that. Okay, to keep it simple. Okay, then we have main.tf where we are trying to basically send the timeout. Okay, compliance timeout, ingestion timeout. Let's quickly go to lambda. So we have the variables here only. Okay, s3 key, so this is not required. Yes, invoke timeout. Okay, so these are the 4 things: invoke function name, compliance, invoke role AR, and invoke file name. Basically like the same way like we have done for the other 2 lambdas, right? So here I don't need to send these out there. We can simply inside of lambda.tf we can simply point to those variables because they already have a default value, which is what we have done for the other lambdas. Correct? Hope this makes sense. Function name, file name, and the source code hash, right? Main.tf we also, okay, function name also it has been able to generate on its own. Okay, so we have the lambda.tf here. Outputs we have seen, the new ARNs variables, we just need the required variables here. Okay, this is fine. Outputs, this is fine. Where else? Okay, so this is bucket notifications. Lambda permissions are declared at the root level. Okay, but where exactly in root, that I'm not understanding. This is fine. Modular circular dependencies, there could be modular circular dependencies. Okay, infra root is main.tf here. Okay, okay, yeah, this makes sense because For this S3 resource, you need that invoke lambda ARN to be already there. So you want the lambda to be created first. So this is where you need to be little careful as to what would be the sequence of the different service creation, right? So that is something you need to be little bit aware about. And although these are S3 related resources, they have put it in the main.tf only because to avoid any circular dependencies. Because if we would have kept it in S3, then it would require lambda to be created, but lambda gets created after S3. Okay, so you have to take these resources out and maybe create another module, calling it notification, and putting these resources there and having that module uh, placed after the creation of both S3 and lambda. Okay. Allow S3 to invoke the invoke sfn lambda. Okay, so this is allowing S3 to invoke the lambda. Okay, and this is for bucket notification, uh, meaning that for this event, the notification would be basically triggered or sent to this particular lambda. Okay, uh, on resource creation or put object inside of this bucket. Okay, and this depends on AWS lambda creation and allow S3 invoke. It depends on this particular resource. So this would be done only after we allow S3 to invoke the lambda. Okay, so again here you have a sequence to it. Okay, so just to little bit simplify this, what we will do is let's have an outputs.tf inside of your infra, because I think with output it is getting a lot cluttered. Okay, and what I'll do is from main.tf, whatever output related properties we have, I put them in that file. Okay, so we have everything. Okay, as I mentioned, currently we will keep these resources as it is. If required, and if you want to make it a little bit more modularized, you can have another module known as notifications, and put these resources there. Okay, and pass them the way we are passing in for the way we are passing for other modules. Okay, but right for now we will keep it as it is. Okay, so this makes sense. I suppose we have all the required Terraform changes. We have seen the changes in S3. We have seen the changes. Okay, so this definitely is not required. Okay, S3, was there any change? There was no change here, only this commented out change. Okay, okay, so we have to add one zip path related variable inside of environments. Okay, that is something which I think is not done. Invoke zip path, agents invoke dot zip. I think it has already put that. This also needs to get wired to your infra route. Okay, so we will call it invoke zip path equal to where dot invoke zip path. Okay, and we can have a variable created with that name right here itself. Okay, so now this warning has gone, and this now would be available in your infra root. Invoke zip path, invoke lambda timeout. You don't need this variable here because you have it in the lambda.tf, this variables, right? Invoke timeout, it is here. Okay, so I'll remove this variable which has no usages, right? Moving towards the main.tf, just a quick check. Invoke file name, where dot invoke zip path, right? Yes, that makes sense, right? And moving towards lambda, we have variable invoke file name, function name, role arn. Okay, so this looks fine to me. Okay, so what we'll do is next thing we have to create a trigger file. Okay, to invoke this lambda with the event like being sent from S3 event. The event object like being sent object format. Okay, let's see if it is able to do that. Yes, so we have the different settings created as we had seen. And plus in this video I mean we had to have the invoke lambda as well. So I think we have the code for that, which will basically invoke the state functions machine, right? So for that what we need to test that, we basically need to put the state machine ARN, right? So let me just quickly grab that. I think we can work with that trigger file as well, which we put in the scripts section. This also more or less is triggering the state functions machine, so we can use this as well, or if you want to create a new file, that is also fine. Okay, so I'm just giving the ARN of the step functions which we created, and basically it has to work on the thinking that an event from S3 is going to uh, be in the input parameter. Okay, so if you look into the handler code, it is building event from S3 record. Okay, so this event comes as an S3 event. Okay, an S3 event would contain something known as records. It won't have a direct S3 key. It would have a records, then under records you would have a uh, S3 key, right? And then I have put a file as well to trigger this particular lambda. Okay, fine. So this looks fine. Let's quickly go to your agents and execute the trigger file which contains the S3 event. Okay, so it has already put the bucket, S3 bucket. So this trigger file is mimicking the format of an S3 event. As I mentioned, S3 event would contain a records key. In under that records, it will have the different records, including the S3 bucket and uh, the key under object attribute. Okay, so it is trying to mimic that, and we already have the bucket and the key with us, so it is just putting that, and then what it will do is it will try to invoke the main.py file. In the main.py file, from the records array, you will grab and create the input event which your step functions is expecting. Okay, and step functions ARN we have put here. Okay, okay, so this looks all good. Let us go ahead and trigger uh, invoke the lambda. Okay, and what we are getting returned from the handler, that is main.handler, is that the basically status started, right? Status started and execution ARN. So let's quickly go to our step functions to see if this particular step functions actually started, actually got triggered. Okay, oh, it got triggered just now, and it was a success also. Yeah, as you can see, 3:39 and the time is 3:40, so that means I got late to check the stuff, and obviously the output is a success. This is the input. If I go to the output, we see the validated input. Sorry, let me go and paste this. And yeah, like we saw in our last video, I think we have the the output from the compliance in place. Yes, so this is the extracted text, this is the payload, right? In the payload you will have the extracted text and the parsed output as well, right? Yeah, model output raw and parsed output, which gives you the summary and some recommendations and other fields. Okay, so we have the compliance coming from the compliance lambda. Because the compliance lambda has been invoked, and if you want to check in the logs, let us also quickly check it in CloudWatch. Because we have not seen CloudWatch till now, so I just wanted to make sure that we see that the logs are also getting populated nicely. Okay, so obviously there would be log groups getting created based on the name of the project. Compliance automation, so dev compliance group and dev ingestion lambda, right? So if I look at the compliance lambda, it should give me 12/2, yes, today's date, right? And something compliance processing complete and so on. Okay, UTC 10:09. If you add, then it would be 3:39 India time. Okay, so that is the time when the two lambdas were actually invoked. Okay, yes, 10:09, which means 3:39. So we are fine. We are having the logs getting set as well. There are lesser logs in the invoke in the ingestion lambda because I think we have lesser print statements. We can increase those print or loggers as we need. Okay, so we have the invoke lambda as well in place, which will actually invoke the step functions in real time or for a real world scenario. Okay, okay, now what we can do is we can now go and create a zip for this and apply the changes. Okay, so I will call it the invoke zip, okay, which contains the latest main.py. This is going to get triggered on an S3 event. This is what we have tested this particular handler with, right? Okay, and dev auto tverse is fine. We have these things in place. Let us, so we just tested the trigger lambda locally. Now we have to go to the infra and do the Terraform, basically Terraform related changes. Okay, there is a small problem here. In invoke sfn lambda arn, is not expected here is what it is telling. Let's go there quickly. So here I think we forgot to remove this because it changed, and we have it in down. We have this particular thing down. So yeah, this was required to be done, but I think it forgot to do. Let us plan it quickly. Hi guys, so we have the invoke zip in place. I have applied the Terraform settings. Now what we can do is we can try to see if on a new S3 event, or when a new file is placed in S3 bucket, whether the Lambda gets triggered, and if at all the Lambda gets triggered, then your step functions should have also gotten triggered, right? So let us quickly check that with the help of the document upload. Let me go to 3s3 bucket. So this is my contracts folder. Okay, inside of my compliance dev s3 artifacts bucket, I'll upload a file. Let's take contract only. Basically, even if we are uploading the same file, it is taken as a put object. So these step functions should get triggered even on this scenario. Let's see if it gets triggered. So yes, just now it got triggered on 4:04 p.m. Hopefully it should complete the flow. Let me come back. Yes, so yeah, I was thinking to come back after a while, but yeah, it has already completed. And if you go to the success state, this is what you get in your output. Okay, if you go to the JSON formatter, you can check what you are getting. Okay, so it has the same thing what we expected, model output parsed, right? So it has the summary, the recommendations and whatnot. Okay, so our on an S3 event, the step functions is getting triggered, which in turn is triggering the two lambdas. The ingestion lambda is ingesting and extracting the text from the document. Compliance lambda is doing the compliance, applying the compliance rules and giving you a summary of whether the document is in compliance to whatever rules we have put in that lambda. Now one last thing which we can check is whether CloudWatch is also there for the trigger lambda. This will also help us tell that okay, lambda actually got triggered, the first lambda, and it then invoked your step functions, right? So there should be 3 log groups now. Right, yes, invoke sfn lambda. We'll see the time when, yes, so 10:34. If you add 5:30, it becomes 4 04. Okay. Okay, which means that the Lambda actually triggered. So hope you like this series. So we have been able to complete this entire flow of an S3 event triggering uh, a step functions workflow, which in turn triggers ingestion lambda, compliance lambda, and we have been able to set up this entire agentic compliance automation system. Okay, hope it was a good tutorial for you guys, and it helps us in creating agentic AI workflows, especially with AWS cloud. I look forward to seeing you in more such videos, more such video tutorials series, and of course I'll have everything put in description along with the resources. So till next time, this is Romit signing off from Epicenter AI. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you.